Good morning, children. Sai Ram. I welcome you all to the online class of economics. Children, today I'm going to start a second book of our syllabus, that is the Indian Economic Development. This is your second book, and it contains a weightage of 40 marks in your board examination. So, children, as you all know, the first book, macroeconomics, is over, and we are going to start a second book, that is Indian Economic Development, which contains a weightage of 40 marks in your board examination. So, children, before we move ahead, let us see the syllabus of class 12th economics. Children, the entire syllabus of class 12th economics is classified into the three categories. The first book is your macroeconomics, which contains a weightage of 40 marks in your board examination, and in this book we have learned all the 5 units. The first one is the national income related aggregates, which contains a weightage of 10 marks. Money and banking, this is also over 6 marks. Determination of income and employment, 12 marks. Government budget, again 6 marks. And balance of payment, 6 marks. So this unit of this all these units of macroeconomics is over, and from today we are going to start a second book, that is Indian Economic Development. So in this Indian Economic Development, the entire the you can just say the syllabus of Indian Economic Development is classified into the three units. The first unit is your development experiences from 1947 to 1990. You just see the slide, and the economic reforms since 1991. So this particular unit contains a weightage of 12 marks in your board examination, and the second is your current challenges facing Indian economy. Children, it is very important to understand that a second unit of Indian Economic Development contains a weightage of 20 marks in a board examination. So under this second unit, you are going to learn 6 chapters of Indian economy. And the last unit is your development experiences of India, which is basically a comparison with the neighbor countries. So this unit contains a weightage of 6 marks. So therefore, you can say the weightage of the Indian Economic Development is again 40 marks. And the rest, the part C, the third part remaining, is your project work, in which you have to make one project file on any of a topic chosen from all these topics of your syllabus, and the remaining 8 marks is there for your viva voice. So children, let us start a topic. Let us move ahead. So children, these are basically the chapters we are going to learn in an Indian Economic Development. You are going to learn chapter number first, that is Indian economy on the eve of independence. This chapter will get you understand the various phases of the various phases of development in an Indian economy. So the first chapter is your Indian economy on the eve of independence. Second is your 5-year plans in India, that is goal and achievement. Next is the features and problems and policies of agriculture. Next is strategy of Indian growth, that is from 1947 to 1990. And next is your Indian foreign trade. Thereafter is your you can say the economic reform since 1991. So what I'm going to say is up to chapter number up to chapter number first to chapter number you can say 6. Up to this, first to 6 chapters. Up to this chapters, first to 6, it comes in the unit number 1, which contains a weightage of 12 marks in your board examination. So this is unit number 1. From unit number 2, that is current challenges facing Indian economy, which contains a weightage of 22 marks in your board examination. So in this unit particularly, you are going to learn up to chapter number 12. From chapter number 7 to chapter number 12, this particular chapters comes in unit number second basically, and it contains a weightage of 22 marks in your board examination. And finally the chapter number 13, that is the development experiences of Indian, Pakistan and China, which is basically a comparative study of all these neighbor countries, which contains a weightage of 6 marks in your board examination. So this is how your syllabus is being classified into the various units and the various chapters. So children, let us start the topic first with the first chapter, that is Indian economy on the eve of independence. So children, this is the first chapter of your Indian economic development book. So the topic what we are going to cover up today is the colonial exploitation of the Indian economy under the British rule. We are going to learn first the colonial exploitation of Indian economy under the British rule. I mean how the Britishers rule India's wealth as well as the human resources. This we are going to learn in this topic. Thereafter the features of Indian economy, then agriculture sector on the independence, industrial sector, foreign trade, demographical profile, occupational structure, as well as the infrastructure on the eve of independence. So, children, let us start with the first topic, that is colonial exploitation by the British rule. So, before we start our topic, children, let us learn first the objective. What is the objective of this chapter? So, children, the objective of this chapter we can see with this book. Children, the main objective of this book, Indian Economic Development, is to make you familiarize with the basic features of Indian economy and its process of development. In order to understand the various phases of development, children, it is very important to look first at the state of India's economy prior to the country's independence and form an idea of various considerations that shaped India's post-independent development strategy. So children, the main objective is like we are going to learn in this book the features of Indian economy and its various phases of development. So children, when we are going to understand this topic, the first thing, the first utmost thing is to determine first the features of Indian economy. I mean, what is basically the features of Indian economy was at the time of the British rule, and you can say prior to the country's economy. Then only we will see the features or the development or the phases of India's economic development. So children, let us learn first the features of the Indian economy prior to the country's independence or during the British rule. So this chapter is basically make you familiarize with the state of the Indian economy in 1947, which is basically the year of the independence. We all know that India, you can say India became independence on the year 1947 on 15th of August. So we have to understand the factors that led to the underdevelopment and the stagnation of the Indian economy. Underdevelopment means the economy is remaining underdeveloped, and the stagnation means there is no growth in the GDP, or there is no economic growth, and the you can say the economic condition remains stagnant. Stagnant means the same. So, children, the topic what we are going to cover up today in this video is the low level of economic development under the colonial rule, agriculture sector, industrial sector, foreign trade, demographic, occupational structure, and at last we are going to learn the infrastructure in this topic. Children, so let us start with an introduction part. So children, what is the primary objective of the British colonial rule? Children, the primary objective of the British colonial rule in India was to turn India as a supplier of the raw material and a consumer of the finished goods. Children, You all must be knowing that the main purpose of the British rule in India was to use the Indian economy as a feeder economy for the development of the British economy. The British colonial rule tempered the Indian economy very badly. I mean, they have exploited the Indian economy. They exploited the India's natural as well as the human resources for the glory of their economy. After the 200 years of the British rule, India gained independence from them on the 15th August 1947. Then one thing is to this is the way how the basic purpose of the British rule. The British rule or was that they want to exploited the Indian natural as well as the human resources, and they obviously wants to use the Indian economy as a feeder economy for the development of the British economy. So, Children, will you please explain me or will you tell me the origin of the British rule? Did you know when is the British rule originated in India? So, children, the British rule over India changed basically the course of history in India. The foundation of the British Empire in India was led by the Battle of Plassey. I mean the Battle of Plassey. This is a fought being happens in the year 1757, which is considered as the foundation of the British Empire in India. So the British came to in India and they started ruling and exploiting our country from the year 1756, which is known as the the origin of the British Empire in India. So, children, let us start with our next topic, which is the colonialism. What is the meaning of the colonialism? Children, the colonialism refers to a system of you can say the political as well as the social relationship between the two countries, of which one is a ruler and the another is colonial. So the ruling country does not I mean the ruling country not only has the political control over the colony, but it also determines the economic policy of the dominated country. So in India, in case of India, the unequal relationship between the colony, that is India, and the ruling country like Britain results in underdevelopment of a country, India. So, one thing is to understand here, children, a colonial country is, India is considered as a colonial country, and the ruling country considered as the British company. So what Britishers are obviously going to do is not only Britishers have the political control on a country, but it also determines, the ruler country, that is the Britain or the Britishers, also determines the economic policy of a dominated country like India. So in case of India, the unequal relationship between the rural country and the ruling country Britain results in the underdevelopment in a country. Next is low level of economic development before the British rule. Now, what is the reason behind of low level of economic development? So, children, to understand the low level of economic development, we have to understand the condition of the economic development, the low level of economic development before the British rule and after the British rule. So, children, as you all know, India was very well known for its handicraft industries in the field of the cotton and silk textile, metal, and the precious stonework, and these products enjoyed a worldwide reputation in the foreign market, which is due to its the reputation of the fine quality of material used and the high standard of craftsmanship seen in all imports from India. So the condition of the economic development before the British rule was very good, and India was considered as well known for its handicraft industries in the field of cotton and silk textiles. And during the British rule, Chilean, the economic policy which is pursued by the colonial government, that is Britishers in India, were concerned more for the production and the promotion of the economic interest of their home country rather than the development of the Indian economy. So, such policies brought about a fundamental change in the structure of the Indian economy. So, during the British rule, children, what actually was happening at that point of time is the colonial government, like Britishers, concerned more for the production and the promotion of their economic interest rather than for the development of the Indian economy. So they are majorly inclined to get more and more raw materials from our country, which they can export free of cost to their own country like Britain, England, and from that raw materials they will convert it into the finished goods in their own country. Again, the final goods can be imported in our Indian market, and it will face a competition. It will give the competition to the Indian product. So this basically was doing at that point of time. So the Britishers are majorly inclined for transferring the countries into a net supplier of raw material and consumer or finished goods industries product from the Britain. So the Britishers find that India is very rich in the field of the raw materials, because we have very abundance of raw materials available in the country. So the Britishers decide that the Britishers find that India is basically a rich in the raw materials, so they start you can say exporting the raw materials into their own country. From their country, that raw material has been transformed or been converted into the finished goods, and then it again be imported in the Indian economy, and it faced the competition. So the country's growth rate during the first half of the 20th century was less than 2%, and growth rate of per capita output was only 0.5%. So this is basically the condition at that point of time. Next, we have the estimation of the national income. So, the colonial government never made the sincere attempt to estimate the national India's national income and per capita income. There were some individuals' attempts which were made to measure. These are as follows: like the first, you can say the calculation of the national income. The first attempt was made by the experts like the Dadabhai Narozi, William Digby, Finlay Shiras, V.K.R.V. Rao, and R.C. Desai. But all these estimates produce conflicting and inconsistent results. However, the estimates of Dr. Rao on national as well as on per capita income were considered very significant. Next is the features of Indian economy on the eve of independence. So, children, let us learn the features of Indian economy on the eve of independence. Children, in the last slide, I have explained you before the advent of the British rule. I mean, before the Britishers came into the India, you all must be knowing that Indian economy was categorized with the following features. I mean, India's economy will be considered as basically the prosperous economy. Prosperous economy will be considered as the Indian economy. So India was basically very rich, self reliant, independent, and the prosperous economy. So, children, before the Britishers came into our country, India was an independent, self-reliant, and the prosperous economy. Second is the agrarian economy. Children, agriculture was basically the main sources of livelihood for most of the people, and it was engaged about two-thirds of the country's population. So, children, as you all know, agriculture was only the main sources of livelihood for most of the people in ancient times. Therefore, a large percentage of population is engaged in agriculture. So that is why it is called as the agrarian economy. The third one is the well-known handicraft industries. So children, you all must be aware that India was also well known for its handicraft industries in the field of the cotton and silk textiles, metal and the precious stones work, etc. And handicraft products enjoyed a worldwide market due to its reputation of fine quality of material used and a high degree of craftsmanship. So this is the condition of Indian economy before the Britishers came into our country. So, however, during the British rule, as the Britishers came into India, the economic policies pursued by the colonial government, that is the British government in India, were concerned more with the protection as well as the promotion of their own economic interest rather than for the development of Indian economy. So, as the Britishers came into India, whatever the policy, the economic policies they have pursued it, they were concerned more for the production as well as the promotion of their own economic interest. They were trying that they will maximize their economic interest, uh, and they are also in the intentions to protect and promote their own country's economy rather than for the development of the Indian economy. They are living in a country, but they are majorly focusing on the wellness or for the promotion of the British government. So, therefore, their policies brought a very fundamental change in the structure of the Indian economy. So, they transformed the countries into the supplier of the raw material and consumer of the finished industrial products from Britain. So this was basically done by the Britishers in our country. So let us learn first the features of the Indian economy on the eve of independence. Now, as the Britishers came into our country, now what is the condition of an Indian economy at that point of time? So, on the eve of independence, Indian economy has the following characteristics. Children, please understand it well because it is an important topic, and definitely one question obviously comes from in your board examination from this topic, the features of Indian economy on the eve of independence. So, the first characteristics is the first your stagnant economy. Children, stagnant economy. So, on the eve of independence, children, Indian economy was completely a stagnant economy. Now, what is this stagnant economy? A stagnant economy is a one which show little or no growth in income. The increase in income is either zero or very low. We cannot be explained it well. So between 1860 to 1925, children, before 1860 to 1925, the growth rate of per capita income was very low as 0.5% per annum, and between 1925 to 1950 it was 0.1% per annum. So before in between 1860 to 1925, the per capita income is 0.5%. So it is very low, and in between the 90 to 85 to 50 it is 0.1% for NN. So, on account of this stagnation, children, bulk of country's population live in the poverty, and standard of living of the peoples remain miserable low. Epidemics and famines with a recurring phenomenon. So, just because of the low income or low per capita income, a country's economy will be considered as the stagnant economy. Next is, children, the backward economy. Children, the Indian economy was considered as a backward economy on the eve of independence, and backward economy is the one in which per capita income is very low. So, in the year 1947 to 48, when the India got of freedom, the per capita in India was just rupees 230. I mean, out of 1000, the income is 230 rupees out of 100 people. So this is the income is considered as quite low. So the bulk of population will remain poor without sufficient food, clothing, and shelter, and unemployment is widely rampant there. I mean, everywhere the unemployment has been, you can see. Next is the agricultural backwardness. Children, agricultural backwardness is also one characteristics or one more features of an Indian economy, which is considered as the low economy. Children, you must be knowing that nearly 72% of the country's working population was engaged in agriculture. I mean, out of 100% of population, 72% of countries' working population was engaged in agriculture, but its contributions to the GDP was only 50%. I mean, no matters only if 72% of the working capacity is engaged in agriculture, but their contribution in the GDP is only 50%. It means we can find out some kind of disgust and employment in this era. Next is, children, the productivity was extremely low. The productivity is extremely very low. Thus, the hectare output of wheat was only 660 kilograms, and of rice is just 665. So, children, you can say the production was extremely very low. If you just see the per hectare production, per hectare means we are from 1 hectare of land we are producing only 660 kgs of wheat and 665 kgs of rice. Now if you compare it for 2019 to 18 to 19, the production of India has stood rose from 660 kg of weight to 3408 kgs. So at that point of time, I mean in the year 1947, the production of our country is only 660 kg per hectare. But now in the year 18 to 19, it is 3408 kg per hectare. So you just see almost 5.2 times is lower than in the year 1947 if it is compared with the level in the year 2018 to 19. So the production of rice is again 665 kg of per hectare of land, whereas in the year 2018 to 19 it is 2665. So just compare, children, the production was extremely very low. The productivity was obviously very low, and if we look at the production of wheat in the year 1947 is 64 lakh ton. This was the production in the year 1947 of wheat. But if you compare it with 2018 to 19, it is 991 lakh tons of production of wheat in the year 2018 to 19. So just see the production of wheat, how much it is increased. It is increased almost 15.5 times more as compared with it in the year 1947. For rice, the production is 220 lakh tons in the year 1947, which is now almost 1156 lakh tons. This is the production of rice at present in the year 2018 to 19. The productivity of wheat was nearly 5.2 times lower than in the year 1947 as compared it with the level in the year 2018-19, and same the productivity of rice was nearly 4 times lower in 1947 as compared it with in the year 2018 to 19. This is the you can say the condition of production and the productivity of India's crops in the year 1947 and 2018 to 19. This is basically a comparison, children. The next one is high degree of the next one is your industrial next one is your industrial backwardness. Children, here the following facts are of underlined significance. The first one is there was a virtual lack of basic and heavy industries in India. The first one is there was a virtual lack of basic and the heavy industries in India. I mean, in our country, the industries are not good enough for an increase in Indian economy. Second is the production of machine was almost negligible. Children, you all know in the ancient times we do not have a capital goods more, and just because of lack of the capital goods, you can say that there is industrial backwardness avail everywhere. Next is the small scale and the cotton industries were almost ruined. I mean, the production is basically done with the labor intensive, and the small scale industries, or you can say the cotton or the cottage industries, were almost nude. I mean, they have been stopped. And for the bulk of its capital goods requirement, the Indian industry was dependent more from the import from the goods. And next is, children, we have to depend more on the import of various goods and services from the Britain. Next is, children, rampant poverty. Rampant poverty means the poverty. I mean, the bulk of the population was very poor, and people were not getting 2 square meals a day. So they lacked a shelter and the clothing, and this was largely owing to the widespread of unemployment, which causes the destruction of the Indian handicraft industries. Thereafter, we have, children, poor infrastructure. We have to be heavy in dependence on the imports, limited urbanization, semi-feudal economy, colonial economy. These are the again some of the more you can say the features of Indian economy on the eve of independence. So these were again the few points which will also be used for considering the country's economy backward and stagnant. So, children, this is all the condition of a country's India's economy on the eve of independence. So, children, that's all for today, and in the next video we are going to cover up the next topics of this chapter. So children, in today's video, what we have understood first the objective of the of the British economy, the British rule in India, the colonial exploitations, the colonial rule, the main purpose of the British rule, I mean what they actually wants. Thereafter we have learned the condition of Indian economy, why it is backward and stagnant on the eve of independence. Thereafter, we have learned the colonial exploitation of Britishers in the various fields. I mean, they are going to completely exploited the Indian economy in terms of you can say the raw material as well as the human resources. So, children, this is all about the features of Indian economy on the eve of independence and the colonial exploitation of the Indian economy under the British rule. So, children, that's all for today. Have a nice day and thank you so much for watching. Sairam. In the next video, we are going to learn the next topics of this chapter. So, goodbye, take care, and Sairam.